Hello, denizens of the internet. Well, this is a very special show. I've got my good friend Paulie from LatinoSlant, and we're going to be talking about a Latino show, which I really liked, but Paulie's giving me hints that he's not, maybe. He didn't like it as much as I did. But we're talking about Griselda featuring Sofia Vergara, who
Yeah,
is Colombian,
yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. So because it's a Latino film, rather than inviting a Russian or some Latvian person to comment on it, why not get a Latino person to comment
Right.
on it?
I know you were trying for the Iceland representative because your last video, we really wanted that Iceland representation in some of Chato's videos.
So, Paulie,
Hey
can
everyone.
I ask you, is it racist to ask a Latino to comment on a Latino production? Like, am I overstepping my bounds here?
No. I think it's actually no, I don't. I actually think it's a good move.
Yeah,
I,
it's
I
the proper thing to do.
it's just a good move, and it doesn't mean we can't. It's well documented that we like all kinds of stuff.
Yep. And no,
But
and I think
mhm.
our discussion on Sound of Freedom was great. It's one of my favorite videos.
Yeah, man.
And I
Yeah.
mean, again, what do I know? I'm a Hungarian Canadian Jew, so I think it's important to get perspective, and I really respect the perspective of the Latino community when it comes to projects like this, because we need more of them. Maybe not this one, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Let's dive in, man.
So let's dive in. A Griselda. So Griselda, I'm just going to bring this up briefly, and I'll take it away. So this features Sofia Vergara as Griselda, who in real life was a very mean person, killed an awful lot of people, and ran the drug trade in Miami, Florida. And so, take it away. What did you think about what about the show, the series?
Well, like just like big sweeping thoughts about the series, like, like first impressions, that type of thing. I thought, first of all, it looks incredible. The way it's filmed, the director, Andres Baez, he's been a part of all the Narcos iterations. So, you're getting a great looking product. And that's, I think what he had fun with this one was that because it was the period of late 70s, early 80s, Miami,
Love
drugs.
it.
He went in on the kind of the grandiose Scarface vibe, and that I absolutely loved.
And if you're talking about, I just want to stop you
Hmm.
briefly. I was so impressed with the direction, and it
Yeah.
was great, what I would call great TV direction, in the sense that he did so many what I call compressed shots, rather than cutaways
Mm.
to, when the guy who ripped her off and
Hmm.
is now trying to do his own drug deal with the drugs that he stole from her, and beat her up for it,
What a great
rather
character
than
he
having a
was. Yeah.
cutaway of her arriving surreptitiously. It was one shot. He was in the foreground. We already know what her shitbox car looks like, and it pulls up in the background. And he did this over and
Yep.
over, this directorial shorthand, which I
Yeah.
absolutely loved. So please continue. Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with the look of the film, look of the show, and the
Yeah.
directing.
Well, this is a limited series, right? So it's six
Yeah, six shows.
episodes. And so on that tip, because we have gotten a lot of series and shows from our beloved IPs of people who have no business writing, have no business directing, have no business producing. That's not a problem here for
No,
me. Not at all. I was like, this is banger. This is just amazing to look at. And 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 for the most part, you had some incredible actors.
I liked most everybody.
Whether it's like a one scene or a story arc of like where they're just in two episodes. Great stuff. For me, I felt toward the last two episodes fell off and
I
went
agree.
and went telenovela.
They also, I felt like they were trying to finish it quickly.
I mean, I would really love to talk to him, to Andres, because I'm like, you set up this an amazing, because it's true life, right? Is that
Mhm.
she married her bodyguard. They had a kid, and spoilers, guys, spoilers. She knocked him off. She's not a good person. That
No.
is very well established. But the actor who played him, oh my god, I loved him so much.
Oh,
And they sped through his whole thing towards the end. It was just that whole episode where they're at the party, which I think was episode 5, and she's paranoid on with everyone. I thought it was trash. I thought it was just way
well,
too
that's not
much.
his character.
No, no, but when she started like going paranoid at the party
Oh,
of
she did.
everyone,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I just thought like you do that instead of concentrating on him, right? And that because it's his birthday party, but what he represents because in the storyline he saved her life
Yep.
several times.
Yep.
Great character,
Good
and then
looking. Holy
good.
smokes.
Woo,
What?
there's some good looking dudes in here and women, and you get some. You do get to see some chichis.
Oh,
Speaking of,
my God.
the Colombian prostitutes that she employed to bring over drugs in their chichis in their bras, fantastic. They kind of went nowhere.
I know. It's true.
So
It's true.
and the thing is, I only noticed it because she gave this great speech how you're going to be the bosses now, and you're going to do your. And then, well, she needed the Cuban dudes to do all the dirty work.
Well,
So
the third episodes, the girls were still in it.
yeah, I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
again, that those last 2 episodes were just the storytelling really fell
That
off
could
for
have
me.
been several shows worth of arcs as you follow the individual
Yeah.
girls as they, maybe even fall off the wagon. Like,
Well,
they can't really handle the success of this. Anyway, I'm writing the show now.
right. Well, but that's this thing because I was very surprised that they went through her whole life. I thought the way it took its time, the first 3 episodes,
Mhm.
maybe in the 4th one, they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna see her rise." That's season 1. I like that. And then it didn't do that. It just went I was like, "Man, you kidding me? You kidding me?" So that those are that I so that's my those are my first impressions. I
But the
have
first
also
3 shows were, I thought,
perfect,
were fantastic.
perfect, per perfect. Nitpicking with Sophia, uh, it, and I was trying to figure it out what my problem with her acting was, and I finally figured it out towards the end. Is that she should never have had the nose piece, any of the prosthetics, any of it. When Wagner played Pablo Escobar in Narcos, when Diego Luna played Felix Gallardo in Narcos Mexico, they didn't do any of that. They wore the costumes, they did that, but they were just them, their own iteration. Here, you have a very comedic, very talented actor at times from Modern Family, and then even before in Spanish, taking on this very heavy role. Then she decides to act with a nose piece. It takes a special type of actor to pull that off, like a Sean Penn, or you go down, or even recently,
Well, they
Bradley
de-whitened her
Cooper.
teeth.
But do you
They
see what I'm
gave her a
saying?
teeth prosthetic, and they
Right. Teeth
also
teeth
weaved in
prosthetics.
more eyebrow.
So I felt
She
at
still looks
times,
good.
yeah, I just felt at times it bothered her
I
acting at times,
Yeah, but
and
overall, what did you do? I was surprised by her acting. Like, there were moments where I thought
mhm.
this was like the scene in the car with her husband in Colombia before like, spoiler alert,
He's a great
everyone.
actor. He's a great actor. He was in Narcos.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Mhm. Yeah.
When she goes in to do the dirty with Fernando to get rid of his debt for being a failed failed narcotics deals. I thought that scene could have been like the typical people screaming at each other and the woman getting mad, but because she was a prostitute and she kind of knew in the back of her head, I mean, the subtext was so well done there, where she just sort of swallowed her bile to get on with it, but she was
Yeah.
seething, but it was quiet. And the use of subtext, one of the things I loved about this show, and I'm trying to remember what the term is that, how in a good story you've got to have uh what do you call it, impediments, but not impediments, but things that crank up like what's I can't think of the word. Um, but
Conflict?
man, she got
Conflict?
herself into trouble, and the
Conflict?
trouble was always big. What was that?
Conflict?
Yeah, conflict. But the conflict was always. It wasn't just about, oh, am I going to meet my ex
Oh,
boyfriend
I
at
know what
dinner
you're saying.
time?
You're talking about like situations.
Situations that were serious, like
Yeah.
every situation
Yeah.
was life and death.
Right.
You
And
know?
that really happened in her life.
Yes.
There were some things that they took away, but you know, yeah, that whole first part was that first episode was really, really incredible. You know, I was watching this with Romy, who you know is
Okay.
an actor in the business, and it was really interesting to watch it with her because she was watching her, and she's a fan. We're all fans of Sophia, but we just pointed out scenes where she was just amazing, and scenes where,
Hmm.
she turned on her old telenovela comedy, like her old that old vibe, and it always had to do with who she was acting with. So, you know, when she was surrounded by some of these, incredible actors, even, Ferlito, who played her best friend in Miami, she was there, she was present. Some of the other ones were a little just more, you cry like telenovela.
Well, with her kids,
Yeah.
her
So,
her kids were underused too.
yeah, I mean, but again, it's like I felt like they were taking their times with all these characters those first 3 episodes, and then it was just like a blur.
Well, especially
So,
the last episode where so much stuff was happening while she was in jail, and then it was all narrated. And this and this and this happened, you know?
I mean
Okay, that's a fast way to finish.
we assume, right? I already know we assume that she had him killed off, like,
Right.
this great character. Yeah, it was just terribly rushed. I loved her, like, guru, number 1, they have the long hair. That
Well, I mean, the her other, murdering, partner with the curly
Yes,
hair,
the curly
he
hair
was
guy.
he was great.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, it's very entertaining. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna take it away from anyone. And if you like the genre, you won't be disappointed. And I just feel knowing Sophia and her past body of work, this was a lot. It's almost like trying to take I was trying to like think about this before we came on the show because I want an American equivalent that I could bounce off of. Suzanne Summers in the 70s was like hot pinup poster girl
Yep.
and funny
Mhm.
with so that's Sophia in the 90s in Spanish. That was her. So
Interesting.
it took her forever to really break through. And she did a couple of like indie American films where she was just really weak. Because it was that forced Spanish, kind of like Latin American type of comedy vibe that just doesn't translate. Not until Modern Family,
Right.
right? Where they wanted that. In fact, the more she was that, the incongruity of it all was was special. So here, she kept slipping back for me. But yeah, maybe I'm nitpicking. But listen,
I
she
think it was her, nerves or whatever you wanna call it, that caused her to decide that she wants the prosthetics and things. Because I saw a making of show, and they
did
made a
you?
big deal out of that, and I don't think she should have done it at all. Like,
Nope.
really.
There was no need.
No need. No
There's
need.
no
It didn't
need.
change her enough. She's even with she could have had a bag of cement on her head, and she would not have been as homely as the real person.
Right. And I know she worked on her hunch, and you could see it a little. See, the thing is that works. That translates in theater, right?
Right.
If you're like in those first few rows and you're seeing the actor doing the hunch and the nose, it's like, wow, this is extreme. You have to do it in extremes for film for it to pick up on film at times. And I saw the hunch at times. I didn't see the hunch, but
Right.
but then again, I'm like, just
Why?
drop it all.
No, no.
Drop it all and just do Diego, do Tenoch, do all these actors that we know now. Man, they brought their own selves to those historical characters. Um
The acting was
Yeah.
just so good in this. I mean,
Yeah.
what a crew of people you have in the Latino community to draw on to be able
Yeah.
to do this. And the
Mhm.
first drug deal, the big drug dealer guy, he was actually, I believe, in Sound of Freedom.
The first drug dealer
The
guy.
guy who turned her down at the very beginning and said, "No, I only deal in
Correct.
bulk."
Correct. The great character actor Jose Zuniga, and he's been around forever. He's been in from The Dark Knight, Mission Impossible. Where
Mhm.
he in two lines here, two lines there, but he always gets killed off. And then in Sound of Freedom, he was the father.
He was okay, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Right, and
was
then
not mistaken.
right, and then he was oh, I forgot Malicor in this one. Yeah, it was just great to. It's always great to see some of those character actors kind of get their spotlight, and you're like, wow, uh yeah, that was a really good character, because they none of them wanted anything to do with this woman, nothing to do with this woman.
Right. I mean,
So
for
that
various reasons too. I mean, again, a lot of this stuff was a stretch. Would someone, anyone, turn down a kilo of really good cocaine and ask for, no, no, I only work in bulk? No, like that's the dumbest thing in the world.
hey,
But
and you had the Jewish representation with one of the Jewish drug
yeah,
dealers.
that's right. I was so happy to have a Jewish drug dealer.
God, he was
Uh, Thank God.
yeah,
It's always fun to see your own
right.
portrayed as a bad guy.
And he was he came out in that DeLorean in episode 5. That was
Yeah,
hysterical, man.
the cars were great,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
and the clothing was great. I mean, I've not seen so much polyester on a guy in decades. I'm surprised none of them just burst into flame. I mean, Sophia could have just like tossed a match at one of these guys' shirts and they would have exploded.
Well, and that's just the thing, is that like it's so funny because they try to make her homely and then they dress her up. It's like, just let her be hot,
I completely agree. I
you
mean,
know.
the thing is, there's there was something about the original woman that made her powerful and magnetic. And
Yes.
so the shorthand on TV is to bring an attractive person in. That's the shorthand. The
The
shorthand is
star,
not
a star, right?
a star. You bring in
Right.
a star
Yep.
because you're trying to duplicate that magnetism. Oops. Trying to
Yeah.
duplicate. I got so excited. Duplicate that magnetism. And Sophia, I thought, had it, even with all the crap on her head. I wish her the best of luck. I mean, obviously, the woman is not suffering. She's got $150 million production company. I mean, she's a good business person. I have a huge amount of respect for her. I mean,
Yep.
bravo for her. And hopefully she gets more roles, the serious roles, because she certainly has the ability to do them.
Yeah, I'm happy that she got this done. Bravo to her. I'm sure she's gonna get some accolades. You know, it's always interesting that these people, these names that managed to carve out a career. Edward James Olmos, Sofia Vergara. We'll just use those. They get the big deal to do something, and they do a drug film or do Griselda. And part of me can't hate on that, because that's what sells to the American
Mm,
audience, to a global audience. It's like a love hate. Um, when at that time, I believe Edward James almost was given 10 to $12 million to do American Me, which is a very unfiltered, brutal look at Mexican American gangs from the 50s and to the 70s. I'm like, that's what you're gonna do? I mean, you've won Emmys, you've done this, you were nominated for Academy Award. Boom. It's like, but people are still talking about that film. People
well,
are
he
still,
was Battlestar in Battlestar Galactica.
right. That was much later. American Me was about a good
Okay.
10 years before Battlestar. This was right on the heels of his Stand and Deliver, his Academy Award nomination. And what I'm saying is that kind of that thing that hasn't changed is that trope of the drug dealer. It's always been there for like the last 100 years in cinema. It's just the only difference is that back then they were played by white people. That they've let us play for the last 40 years or so after Al Pacino. Yeah, I have fun with that. So I'm wondering if there is fatigue for me, having seen so much and been a fan of Narcos Mexico, and how they talked upon the disappearance of women on the border with the cartels, how they were used as mules, sex trafficking, and then they would just kill them off. I mean, that still goes on. So that was very poetically well done in Narcos Mexico, and they wrapped it up. Then to jump to this, it's like, are we painting
Hmm.
women now as like, women power, but narco style?
But
Uh,
it is a true story though.
It is a true story.
So
It is a true
it's
story,
worth, and it's worth telling.
but the speeches were a little, a little too, soapbox for me.
Yeah, tele Latino. I could see that.
So, and then I'm just what because because of that, it's like they almost had to, their own company, their own people, their own creative people, almost had to. I don't know if they outdid their last work,
Hmm.
because they're the same people that did every single season of Narcos Mexico. People didn't want Narcos Mexico to end, but realistically, you have to end it at some point, because then you're talking about people that are living, and that's a little dangerous. It's a little
So you,
dangerous.
so if you got a role in a Spanish production or a Latino production where you were a drug lord, would you turn it down?
No, no, and but there are actors that have, and I do respect that. There are actors like Diego Calva, who was in Babylon with Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt, who had a bit role as a bit um, drug dealer in Marcos, Mexico, where he kind of put it down after the fact. I'm like, well, you should have never taken the role then,
Hmm.
Diego. It's like, if you're that high and mighty because you were handpicked for Babylon, and he was great in that. Why are you putting down this role? Maybe it's that love hate that I told you
Hmm.
about. Um, but you said something earlier about, you got to go with the star. You just got to go with the name, no matter how it doesn't look anything like the woman. I get it. But the obvious person who really could have brought a complete dimension to this character is the woman who played. Did you see the Blue Beetle?
No, I
Okay, she
didn't.
played the grandmother. Her name is Adriana Barraza, and she's a great Mexican actor, short and portly, and has been in tons of films. Nominated for Academy Award for in Babel years ago with Brad Pitt. That's what this woman looked like.
Right.
So it's almost switching out, a housewife, a real housewife, like a Latina mom housewife, for a supermodel. That's what happened.
Well, and you know how things work in Hollywood. I think this was Sophia's production company. Partly, she's an executive
This is her
producer on
baby.
it,
Yep.
so she's
Yep.
going to cast herself. It's like the movie Uncharted with who are the two people? Yeah, Tom Holland and
Banderas
no,
had a
the old
little
rapper.
role.
The
I
Uncharted.
it,
It was
I still didn't see that film, but I know what you're talking
Uncharted.
about.
Anyway, so I'm going, well, that's a weird casting for Sully, but I'll remember his name. Um, but it turned out that it was his production company that did Uncharted, so he hired himself to
Oh,
be the role of Sully, even though he probably wasn't the right person for it.
sure. Yeah, exactly.
So
So,
that's the way this happens. And Sophia wanted a vehicle for herself, so she bought the rights to this script and had the thing done, and she puts herself in it.
but see,
That's Hollywood. That's
and this is
the
the
way
good
things go.
part. Yeah, and this is the good part of authentic presentation, is that now I can properly critique it, based on its merits, not because it got in, and and it was written and produced by non-experts, if you will, in the field. This was like from
Oh,
behind, in front of and behind Latinos.
I mean, for the most part, this show is a lesson in how to write a show. I mean, the subtext was superbly done. Sorry
Hmm.
to interrupt you, but I
No, no,
absolutely loved the fact that there wasn't that she's in America, she's going to redo her life, and she's got, and she's going to try her best at the travel agency, and it's not working. And then, oh, something else happens, and then her son gets sick, and she has no choice but to get back in the drug trade. Oy, 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 oy. None of that. None of that. She tells the girl from her
Her best
associate
friend.
at the travel agency who gives her a job, no, I promise I'm not going to ever go back in drugs. Fuck that. No, here it is. Go back in the drug. Here, take the kilo of cocaine. I got it. I mean, I loved that. There
I
was
loved
just
it.
none of that trope. This
No,
woman knew what
no.
she wanted to do, had to
Yep.
do it. And I especially love the fact with, we often talk about boss girls beating up, bigger guys, where she, snuck up on the guy who took her cocaine and then beat the living shit out of him with her baseball bat. What a I mean, wasn't that a satisfying scene?
Right, because it was established he was like a sniveling dude.
Yeah.
And he wasn't like that guy with the machete.
No.
Woo! Right? He didn't overpower you with his masculinity and in his
He
brawn.
deserved to have the
He
shit beaten
deserved
out
it.
of him.
And she she tracked him.
Yep.
She followed him.
Yep.
And then when the right time was, she snuck down on the other side of his car and came around that bat. And she laid it in, man, and that was very, very satisfying.
Yeah, well, yeah. Weren't you? I mean, again, you're cheering for the bad person, right?
That I don't have a problem with. That's to me, that's like good. That's good escapism. And I do not have a problem with.
You know who wasn't used was her new Colombian protector, who was there for a bit. Like he helped her in that scene where the drug deal went down and he shot the assassin.
Right.
I really got to like him.
The cook.
I went, yeah.
Was it Chucho?
Chucho, yeah. And I wanted to see more of him, but he was gone.
Right. And so what there was another thing that was going on was that she kept surrounding herself with all these different men, with all these different protectors, right? And for whatever reasons, his character was underused eventually.
Yep.
It didn't come back around to the very end, which I thought was just like a horrific, thing that happened.
Oh, you're talking about not Chucho. You're talking about the other drug dealer who tried to. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the guy that she met in the restaurant.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
yeah. At the end, she got paranoid.
She was doing crack cocaine with what's his name's sister.
See, there's so many characters, right? So let's stay with Chucho. So Chucho was the kid in the restaurant.
Right.
Became her right-handed dude, survived the onslaught of Machete guy. That was a great scene.
That was a great scene.
Oh man, that was a great scene. And we were like, wait a minute, isn't Chucho still alive? And then he like kind of rises from the dead. And he's in and out there. You see his. I think what's interesting about the first 3 or 4 episodes is that everyone's lines eventually are crossed. And once you cross those lines, then there's no going back, and you're doing some brutal stuff. You're chopping heads off. You're killing kids.
You're killing kids.
And what happened? His kid was killed at the end. That's who I'm talking about, by accident. That's what I mean. And that was just kind of like I felt that was like, for such a great setup of the character, that kind of was like, I don't know if that payoff was there for me, but
overall, well, how would you rate it as a piece of entertainment without getting into the weeds?
7 out of 10.
Okay, I'm there with you.
Yeah. So the first 3 episodes were like bangers. I'd say like 8.5s, 9s. I mean, just like great packs. Another character I didn't really. Okay, let me ask you. What did you're there with me? 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say because the last 2 let me down.
Yeah. Well, so okay, go ahead.
But as an executive TV guy,
right,
who's more interested in seeing my star shine
and your numbers and your ratings
and the numbers, I would say Sofia really delivered the goods.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, it's like was #1 in several different Latin American countries.
And it was not promoted. Like where I didn't, Netflix didn't even send me an email promoting the show to me. I saw no promotion at all. I found the show accidentally in some fanzine saying, hey, these are Netflix shows that you need to see.
Yeah, no, I didn't have that problem at all. I was seeing a lot of the kind of the poster with her
Okay.
headshot, in all kinds of different social media. So I
She was
definitely saw it.
promoting it a lot in South America and Mexico.
She was promoting all over Latin American Spanish markets for
Right.
sure, and doing a lot there. And
But I
then
didn't see anything here. I didn't see anything here.
yeah, maybe there's an algorithm, Paul Chato. I don't know. Maybe they don't think it's ethnic enough, and they turn your algorithm off for Sofia.
He dissed our last show, so we're not sending anything to
Right.
him.
Yeah, no, man. Another thing that I love is Netflix and Amazon was when they get it right is when their creative hands are out of the jar.
Thank
Their
God.
creative jar. Yeah, man.
It was
And
good. That's such a great crew. And to even with a show that's flawed in the way that you've described it, and I agree with all your points. Man, I could use more shows that are that flawed.
right. It's almost like, great. Now we can, we're watching good television. Now we
Yeah.
can critique it on, like its merits and like and nitpick here and there. But this is a very watchable and entertaining uh limited series. I
And a
just,
showcase for so much talent. Like
yeah,
I was yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think also too, if you're a Sophia fan, you're gonna really love this.
Yeah. And that's the point from a network executive perspective. That's really the only point that I'm interested in. So now I'm interested in what her next production is going to be. And I hope it has nothing to do with drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting to see what our next step is, especially with the production company. I think this era is ushering a time in where more Latino writers and directors are being given green lights, which is like the key to everything. It's the key to everything.
And
And
Pedro Pascal should not be the only Latin actor allowed to play non-drug roles.
hey, you know how he caught the eye of everyone. He was in Narcos.
Oh, Narcos. No, no, no. I know that, but
Yeah.
now he's the go-to guy. I mean, Hollywood is very lazy.
Well, that's a different discussion, but it is connected. Is that Hollywood is I don't know if scared or they don't know what to do with the leading black man or the leading Latino man. That is, I wouldn't say a threat, but that is, a man, a macho,
Hmm.
muscular, and in presentation and in energy. We have the last time I see us having that is maybe Benicio del Toro, like 20, 25 years ago.
And I don't know who
Hey,
that is.
oh, Benicio del Toro,
I
Benicio.
see. Yeah, I know him. Yes.
Yeah, in Traffic, again, playing a bad cop, a good cop, bad cop, whatever it was, but in a drug film. Whereas Pedro and Oscar Isaac are, pretty non-threatening.
Uh, Pedro a little bit more. I loved. Oh God damn it! What's his name in Zorro? But he's now gotten older. Uh,
Oh, Banderas.
Banderas.
Yeah. They love Banderas. Banderas has aged out. His prime was in the 90s with
Yeah,
in Spanish in Moldavar. I'd say go watch his Spanish films. Oh my God. And yeah, his Zorro was great. I think that was
that was a great fun movie. Indiana
yeah.
Zorro, I call it.
Yeah, the first one. The
First
first
one.
one.
Yeah,
And Catherine Zeta was,
luminous.
the best Welsh Latina I've ever met.
That's for
Only to be topped by that great British Latino actor, Anthony Hopkins.
I know. And you know what? I was really thankful he did not try to do anything.
He's
No
Anthony
pretext.
Hopkins, man.
It was
It's
great.
like what, just do it.
So that's it. So we're
Yeah.
giving Griselda a 7 out of 10. We both recommend the show. Please watch it. It really is entertaining compared to an awful lot of stuff on the streaming and in the regular TV realm. Give so poor Sophia a shot. You know, let her.
Yeah.
Let her move out of whatever gigantic home that she's in. Give her a bigger home. That's what she needs. Anyways, thank you very much,
Yeah.
denizens. I appreciate you sitting around and watching this. And until next time, Be seeing you.